welcome to Angel's Anything Show. And today I'm going to be bringing you a product review of the Presto Dehydrator. Presto Dehydrator. For those unfamiliar, a dehydrator is something that you use to take the moisture out of something. In most cases, people use like fruit slices, apples, bananas, whatever, some veggies. They use it to make like potato chips. Some people use it to make beef jerky, anything that is like has no moisture and is kind of like dry or chippy, you know? I first learned about this from watching a lot of vegan YouTubers, and they all have these really fancy big Excalibur dehydrators that are like, start at like $500. But they were making like some pretty advanced stuff. I wanted to start dehydrating stuff, but I didn't necessarily need something so intense, and I wasn't willing to commit hundreds and hundreds of dollars on like a big appliance that I might not even use that much. So I found the Presto Dehydrator on Amazon. This one was about 30 bucks when I first bought it, which was like maybe 3 years ago. I think it's maybe like 40 bucks now. Still way cheaper than anything else. But with products that are inexpensive, you always wonder like, oh, is it because it sucks? Luckily, I'm here to tell you whether or not it sucks. So the first clue that I actually really love this thing is that I have had it for years. And if you look at it, it's pretty dirty. Because I'm a dirty bitch, what can I say? This dehydrator is best for people who want to do simple stuff like banana chips, apple chips, fruit roll-ups. So let me first tell you how this baby works. So when you get it, this is what it looks like if it's fully assembled and you're using all the trays. It's pretty big. And it comes with 4 trays, but if you stack it, it will, to store it, you stack the trays a certain way where they don't take up as much space. So when you store it, it'll look like this. So it's still a bigger appliance, but it's a lot smaller. But even so, I guess I would say if you are a person that lives in like a small apartment or like, you know, one of them New York City apartments, then you probably, unless you really are passionate about dehydrating, you might not want this. You might want to wait because it is very large. This is the base. It's really dirty, but like, sorry, it's not like actual that dirty. You see this little center in the middle? That's where the heat comes out. So let's talk about the heat. Is this dehydrator safe to leave on all day and all night? Yes, it is. I kind of liken the dehydrator to a crock pot in that it's a set it and forget it situation. You're not gonna set your house on fire by keeping this on for like a full day. Which you will, because you should also know when you're getting into dehydration that things take a really long time. It doesn't, like, when I first got it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like dehydrate apple chips, like how many hours is this gonna take? And it's like, leave this for 12 to 16 hours. I was like, holy shit. And the harder, it comes with 4 trays. You can add an additional 2 trays, which I did because I'm like a hardcore bitch, but you can't add any more than 2. So it can handle up to 6 trays. Why would you need 6 trays? Well, I'll tell you why. Because when you're taking so much time to dehydrate something, you want to make a lot of it. You don't want to spend 16 hours dehydrating buffalo popcorn chips or whatever, and then you have like a handful. Because that's what will happen sometimes with dehydrating. You kind of have to plan for it in bulk, or else it's almost like, what's the point of this? The trays are not expensive to buy separately. I think I paid 15 bucks for 2 extra trays, like total. Another thing you can buy if you want to make like fruit roll-up-y stuff, or things that are, if you're drying herbs, which I've done to make seasonings, you buy these little plastic guys. They go over it so that you don't have anything that spills through, and they just fit in the tray. You see, and they're not very expensive either. If you don't want to buy this, you could buy parchment paper and then cut a circle out in it and use that. I've done that. That's totally fine. Why, then, you might be asking, if this dehydrator is so good, why is it so cheap? First of all, it's circular shape. People don't always want that, especially if you're using your Excalibur to make wraps or whatever. You just have a lot more flexibility with the square and no holes, so you have more ground. What is that? More ground to cover. There is no temperature that you set. There is no timer that you set. There isn't even an on-off button. Literally, this turns on by you plugging it in. So it's very bare bones. But if you're getting a dehydrator because you just want to start messing around with fruit chips or veggie chips, you can use that for this. But if you are like super hardcore veganista and you want to like, I don't know, do some wild funky shit and you want to like have it set on a timer and you want to make sure it doesn't go above 180 degrees, so that's still considered raw, then you might want to get an Excalibur. This dehydrator I don't use all the time, but I might use it a couple days a month, or I use it like if I'm going on a road trip, I'll dehydrate a bunch of fruit. And I think that's perfect because I only spent like 30 bucks on it. I'm not like, ugh, remember when I bought that huge dehydrator and now like it just sits and collects dust? Anything else specific about this one? I guess cleaning it's kind of annoying. I don't clean mine all the time, so you'll see like some like, it's just like dried fruit and veg residue, so I'm not too like anal about it. Maybe like after I use it a couple times, then I'll give them each tray like a big clean, but sometimes you get a little dirt in the crevasses. When you stack it, you're gonna stack it with the trays with the tabs first. So there's two trays. There's one with these tabs and then one without the tabs, you see? So the tab goes down first and you always alternate. So this tab and then this one. So basically the way they have it is that it allows it to stack but still keeps space in the middle of the trays so they don't get smushed and stuff. So that's it, but I mean it even says like this side up, so how much could you fuck that up really? For the most part, I just will do all my slicing and set this all up at night so that when I wake up it's already been dehydrating for 8 hours, and then maybe I'll let it run for a few more hours depending on the texture that I want. Another thing to remember when you're dehydrating is keep in mind the water content of what you're dehydrating. So if you're making zucchini chips, which I highly recommend, they're probably the quickest thing you can dehydrate. You might even get those done in like 6 hours. Those are very high in water content. So to make sure that your chips aren't too thin once the water leaves them, you want to cut them thicker. If you want like a fruit chew, like a more chewy situation, then cut them thicker or have them dehydrate less. I mean, you really can't fuck it up. Like a crock pot, it's still gonna probably taste good. It's just you might have to do a little experimentation to find out what works best. So that's why it's good to get a lot of trays, and then you could maybe each tray you try something a little different so that you don't spend like 12 hours and then you don't end up liking the product, you know? I gave you the rundown on the dehydrator. I really like Presto. They do a lot of really good kitchen products. This is not spons. Hashtag not spons. But I'm gonna do a little demo with you guys, and I'm gonna show you exactly how I slice up my things and what I do and certain chips I like to have. Okay, so first I'm gonna do apple chips. Now, apple chips are like a quintessential dehydrated chip. They're very tasty. I really don't know what else to say about apple chips. I mean, it's not QVC, I don't have to sell you these apple chips. So just slice them up. You can leave the seeds in if you want, or just take them out. They're gonna just kind of crust out and you won't even like notice them once they're dehydrated. Next up is everybody's favorite, banana. Banana is great. You can use plantains also, that works similarly. They're really good ones to have as more like chewy, kind of fruity bites, but I really like doing the banana chips. Total classic. And lastly, we have something that you might not expect to be delicious dehydrated, but it is eggplant. Eggplant is one of my favorite things to dehydrate because it's so big, so it makes for a really good chip, because when it shrinks down, it's still like a real big cracker. Maybe cut these like a little less than a ½ an inch works well, I think, and leave the skin on because I think it helps give it a more stability. Like I said, when you plug it in, you just kind of plug it in and walk away, and then it'll just kind of hum along in the background. Okay, and in 10 to 14 hours, we're gonna have magic in there. Personally, I like to do it overnight because otherwise I'm tempted to open it and look in and check on progress, and we know, just like a crock pot, that shit ain't cool. Okay, so because we have TV magic, I'm gonna show you what these are gonna look like when they're done. 1 second, please. Bing! Here's what they look like, and like I said, they shrink a lot. So I guess I'll come up there and show you. These are the banana chips. They're small and cute, and they're delicious. Great for a car ride, great in a trail mix. These are the apple chips. These are an awesome like lunch work snack. These are a little less crunchy than they normally would be because I took them out of the dehydrator a few hours ago and they've been sitting out, so the air is re-moisturizing them. If you take your stuff out of the dehydrator and put it right into a mason jar and seal it, it should stay crunchy for a while. If it doesn't, put it back on the dehydrator and plug it in for a few more hours, it'll crunch right back up. Okay, so did you guys look at the apple? So good, right? If you have an apple corer, you could core a hole through it and then you would have like apple rings, which, I don't know, people like to do that, they put in a necklace, I don't know, it's like a craft project or something. Now is the piece de resistance, eggplant chips. Hello? Excuse me. Do you see this? These are awesome to spread like a dip on, like a hummus. I mean, to eat as a chip. Now again, they're not as crunchy as they normally be because they've been sitting out. But, Anyway, thanks for watching my review of this amazing Presto Dehydrator. I hope that it was helpful to you, and maybe now you go out and buy one. If so, tell them Angel's Anything Show sent you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! I started to get into veganism, and I wanted... Fuck. The sun's gone. What do I want to say?